Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a bit different to my normal videos because it's something I don't really talk about very often, but it's something that I think people should talk about more because it's something that affects pretty much half the women on earth, which is periods. So I'm going to be talking about periods, so if that puts you off or that's too much information, then please click away now. I will be talking about period management and how it affects me and how it might affect some people. If that's not your thing, then please join me in the next video, which won't be about periods. It's the third time I've recorded this video because I keep talking for about 7 minutes about how I came to where I am now, which is probably a bit too much information, too much like talking for one video, so I'm just going to go straight into it. I'm 33 now, I've had 20 years of periods. No one has bought me a cake to celebrate the 20-year anniversary, and for the last 5 or so years I've used cloth pads. Growing up I always used disposable pads. They're very fiddly, and when you have a disability like I do, where you have very limited or no dexterity, using disposable pads and anything really is quite difficult. So I always wanted to find something that worked better for me, so I now use cloth pads, which still is quite fiddly for me, but I just find is much more comfortable for being sat down in a wheelchair all day, and is a bit easier when it comes to fiddliness. Although I do kind of wish they had a sticky back, but you can't have a cloth pad with a sticky back. So yeah, I'll talk you through the pads that I use and just what works best for me. So like I said, using a disposable pad sat down all day, it just gets a bit sweaty and a bit plasticky feeling, so I thought using cloth pads would be a bit easier. So I started off by making my own because I didn't know really what size or shape or what would work best for me. So I kind of went with the shape and size of a disposable pad and kind of drew around that and just hoped for the best. The first ones I made, the stitching on them is a bit rubbish, is very rubbish. So I'll go with one that's like kind of version 3 or 4. This is one of my pads. It's got wings at the back which velcro together, which I find velcro quite easy for me because you can literally just sort of press it together and it's quite easy. I find the plastic snaps and the poppers on other pads a bit more difficult, but I do still use them. So this is kind of a sort of velour topped, which I know is like not a natural material, but it's quite comfortable, it's quite absorbent, and it velcros up quite narrow. So inside this pad, if I can remember, because I probably made this about 4 years ago, I think it's microfiber something, I can't actually remember. I think I bought several microfiber cloths, just like the kind of cleaning cloths, and cut them into strips and used them to use as the inserts for my cloth pads. Then you kind of stitch them to the top, and then the back is like a waterproof, like a PUL sort of, it's like a ski jacket sort of material, not too noisy, because everyone knows that disposable pads can be quite crunchy and sometimes you can hear them, if that makes sense. So the other pads I have are these ones, which are bought online. Obviously that's the way up it goes. So it has a bamboo fleece topped, which is quite hygienic. It's really soft, really comfy, and then the back of it is the PUL waterproof backing. It's a bit more slippery than other backings, so it does slide around a little bit, but I think once you get the right size and shape, you make sure that you wear underwear which is tighter than your normal underwear, so not like uncomfortably tight, but just not loose and baggy. It will hold it still and it won't be a problem. But I find these quite comfortable. This is quite a small one, which I'm showing quite close on camera, but this is quite a small one, so it's more like a liner shape. I wouldn't wear these at night time because it might cause like leakage at the front and back. So I tend to wear these like on lighter days. So those sort of pads you can buy online, and they come in tons of different patterns. So I've got this one, which is really pretty, and this one, which is quite pretty as well, like a sort of, I don't know, paisley. No, it's not really paisley, is it? I don't know. So this one is one of my favourite ones. It's a bit longer, so it's more like a standard size and shape, but it's like a sort of, what do you call it? It's a plush backing, so it's got waterproof. It's got PUL waterproof inside, but the back of it is like a sort of soft, slightly fluffy, and kind of really silky soft, but it's really comfortable. It doesn't move around at all. And the top of this is bamboo toweling, I don't know what you call it, is quite soft again, it's really absorbent, and yeah, it just works really well. I've never had any leakages out of these sorts of pads. This one is one of my favourites. It's like a black sort of flowery pattern on top. It's got really nice shaped wings, like quite a kind of small shaped wings, and it pops up quite narrow, which is nice because it keeps it nice and secure. So this is what it looks like popped up. It's got quite a narrow pop ring, which is quite good, so it keeps it nice and secure. This one is cotton topped, so again it's nice and comfy. This one is fleece backed. It's got the waterproof inside it, but it's fleece back, so again it stays really still and it's really comfy. You might think that fleece or fluffy materials might make it really hot and sweaty, but it doesn't. I don't know why, it just doesn't. I think the fact that it's lacking that kind of plastic layer that disposable pads have mean it's like breathable. So this one's one of my favourites. I think it's by a brand called Party in My Pants, I think that's what they're called. I think I won it in a giveaway online. So the branded ones can be more expensive, but the other ones, the ones like this, oops, the other one, are from just like a Chinese retailer on eBay, so, or from I think Aliexpress. Not very good for my carbon footprint, but I've used them for years now and they last. They just don't wear out. You just wash them again and again. A good tip is not to use fabric softener because apparently it decreases the absorbency. But I've never really found that, to be honest. Sometimes these pads accidentally get put into a wash that has got conditioner in it, and I haven't found that they're any less absorbent really. But I think it's just good practice not to use conditioner generally because it won't sort of build up on the fibres. And as long as you mostly don't use conditioner, that should be fine. So the other good thing about these pads is that they pop up into a neat little parcel like this. So if you're out and about and you need to change it, you can literally just fold it in on itself. You fold the top in, the bottom in, and then fold the wings around them, with the back facing out obviously. So it's like a nice little neat little parcel. It's not going to leak anywhere. You don't have to be worried about it like being a bit gross. And if you're embarrassed about people knowing about you using cloth pads, if someone saw that in your bag, either obviously used or a new one that you've just put in there to use later on, if someone saw that, they're not going to know it's a pad. It just looks like a little purse or something. They're quite discreet, I think, although, like I said, you don't need to be discreet about it. I think it's fine just to talk about it. So the other thing you might need when you're out and about is a wet bag. So this is one I've just made with my sewing machine. It's like got waterproof lining and a cotton outside, but you can use anything really, just like an old makeup bag. So you can put your pads in there, and then when you get home and you need to wash them, you can just empty it into the washing machine, open out your pads, and you're good to go. You can wash them on like a normal 30 or 40 degree, or even at 60 if they have like stains on them. You can stain treat them with like a stain spray. Rinsing them in cold water quite often helps the stains, but it's not essential. And also I always think if they're a tiny bit stained, I don't really care, to be honest. It's only me that's using them. I know they're clean, even if they have like a very, very faint stain on them. It's not like the end of the world. I'm not like particularly bothered, to be honest. It's only for the purposes of anyone else seeing it and wants to know that they're stain free, and no one's going to do that. So you can tumble dry them on low, but I just normally hang them on the little sock dryer thing on my hairer, so that's just the easiest way to do it. They take about a day or two to dry, not very long really. So that's it as far as cloth pads go. I've got like a massive box full of them, but those are kind of the main ones I have. As far as other products to go, as far as periods, pain relief wise, I tend to use ibuprofen and paracetamol. I tend to buy paracetamol plus, just because it gives you a bit of a boost, feeling a bit kind of like under the weather because of the period pains and the lack of iron that you experience with a period. The paracetamol plus might just give you a little bit of perk. And yeah, ibuprofen as well. I wouldn't ever go for like Feminax or other period type branded painkillers because they're literally just ibuprofen and they're just marketed towards women, and they have the price of them to make you think that they're going to target period pain, but they're literally just ibuprofen. So don't buy them, just buy ibuprofen and paracetamol. They're really cheap, they're like less than 20p. As far as hygiene goes, I always feel that like, I always find it a bit hypocritical when you change a baby's nappy, you use wipes. You wouldn't use tissue on a baby's nappy, so I kind of like, nowadays I tend to use wipes. I just do. I find it more hygienic and more comfortable. So I buy these for me and the kids to use just because I find it more hygienic. and I know that the kids are then being a bit cleaner. But I use these as well. They're just like the typical toddler wipes. They are apparently flushable, but I don't tend to flush them. I just put them in a little bin next to the toilet, just because I know then they're not going to be clogging up people's drains. So yeah, I tend to just put them in the bin. But if one does go down the toilet, it's not the end of the world. I just find it feels a bit cleaner using them, but each to their own. If you're fine with tissue, and sometimes I do just use tissue, then that's fine. And yeah, whatever works best for you. That's the end of this video. I hope you found it useful. Put some links down below for the places that I buy cloth pads. But to be honest, I don't buy them anymore because I don't need to, because they literally, once you've got like a good stock of them, that will do you for like light days, heavy days, night time if you use different ones at night time, even postpartum if you're having babies. Once you've got pads for all like occasions, then you're kind of set really. You don't really need to buy any more, unless you have a bit of an addiction to buying them, which I did a while ago. But honestly, they'll last you years. They'll save you on household waste because you're not throwing away loads of pads each time and tampons. The other thing I wanted to add was obviously using menstrual cups is also a good idea because it cuts down on waste and it can be more comfortable than using pads, tampons, but I can't use them because of my lack of dexterity. So I'd love to be able to use a menstrual cup, but I just can't. But if you can use them, that's really good, and I'm quite envious because I wish I could use them as well. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me some comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!